Hello and welcome to the Cutie Art Crusaders, episode 156 for July 6th, 2015. It's the 3-year anniversary of the Cutie Art Crusaders. My name is RainbowPlasma. I'm the host and organizer of the podcast, and today I'm joined by
Flutterguy317, and I do literally everything else today, apparently, because we're the only ones here.
We are the only ones here for the CAC 3-year anniversary. Mr. Atmospark is off to Bali eventually, once he finally gets there.
Oh, we should add that to the talking points list. He actually didn't get to Bali as
well. I mean, he'll talk about it when he comes back. But basically his flight got delayed and a bunch of stupid stuff like that. So he had to wait like 3 days to go to Bali. He would be on the podcast today, but he had a bunch of stuff to talk to with his travel agent and stuff like that. You know, there was kind of weird travel things that happen. You need to like organize them, so that's understandable.
Mm-hmm. And Bernd, we don't actually know where he is.
Yep, we haven't talked to him in like a week and a bit, and he won't respond to our text messages, so basically he's dead.
Last thing we knew, he was in Alaska, going into the wilderness, foraging for gold or something like that.
Something like that.
Sure.
Yeah.
And
I don't know. I haven't seen him. I haven't heard from him. So don't really know what's going on there. Can't tell you whether or not he'll be there next week.
Yeah, we'll see.
We will see.
So this past weekend was the 4th of July. So happy 4th for anyone in the States. I know I had a fantastic weekend of the 4th. Basically fireworks all around, which was insane. And also last week was Canada Day.
Mm-hmm.
Did you do anything particularly Canadian?
I heard fireworks. Is that Canadian? Probably not.
Sure, we'll go with yes.
So there was fireworks that were going off. I mean, the thing about fireworks is that people who light off fireworks, they just kind of use it as an excuse to buy fireworks and light them off, right? That's cool, whatever. But that also means that all of like the days before and after are also like full of fireworks. And the thing about Canada Day is that people use the 4th of July for some reason as another excuse to buy and set off fireworks, even though that's not a thing up here.
Yeah.
So like basically from June 30th to like today, there's just always been fireworks going off at night. Like it's not like the official ones like on Canada Day they usually have like official ones depending on where you live if your city does that. But like all of the ones that people just buy and set off themselves, those have been going off like the last 4 nights.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Yeah. What are the fireworks legislation in Canada? Like,
I don't know, because I don't set off fireworks and I don't buy fireworks, so I wouldn't be able to tell you.
Yeah.
I don't think, like, I know there's some places in the States where it's, like, illegal. I don't think that's the case here.
Because in Connecticut where I live, you can get, like, fountains and sparklers, but everything else is illegal, except for on the 4th when the cops just kind of look the other way.
Right,
right. Yeah.
It's illegal, quote.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really know what the firework legislation in Canada is. I'm sure it's like on a province by province basis. But again, I'm not the type of person to buy and set off fireworks, so I wouldn't really know. The only experience of fireworks I have is like being a stupid teenager in like a schoolyard like every other teenager did at some point. Went out with friends with a couple of fireworks and fired them suspiciously not in the air, but at each other. Yeah.
You know what? We should have gotten some fireworks for this.
Yeah.
It's our 30th anniversary.
Let me just set some off in my room here, Ted. Can you talk about the fact that my room is about 100 degrees Fahrenheit?
Yeah.
Probably Celsius too. I might just be boiling here. So I want to talk about this specifically because this podcast makes me like this podcast. There's like a downside to doing it, which is that I have to turn off both of my fans and close my windows because people with motorcycles like to drive down my street and other loud things like that. So I have to close my windows and I have to turn off my fans so I don't get like noise in my microphone. I can literally hear a motorcycle out my window right now. That's the reason why.
Why do they like constantly drive down your street? Like we'll be talking just either before the podcast or just when we're playing a game or whatever, and I'll hear like on your end a motorcycle or some loud car driving past.
I don't know why. I live on a side street. Like it just does. I don't know. Let's just say I'm going to be happy to move back where I was before in Ottawa in September. I'm gonna be happy to go back there. So yeah.
Yeah, the place where you lived in Ottawa was nice and quiet.
Yeah, it was nice and quiet and had functional air conditioning. That's a thing too.
Yeah.
The air conditioning in my house just doesn't come up to the third floor because of reasons that I don't really want to get into. But yeah, so basically, like, even though there's air conditioning in my house, it doesn't reach me, so I have to have 2 fans and windows open, and right now I can't do that. And so I'm already, like, we're only 5 minutes into this. I'm already sweating. So this is going to be, like, torture. And it's especially hot today. So.
Ooh.
Woo!
You should have gotten buckets of ice beforehand and just, like, soaked yourself in them.
I should have gotten like a glass of water even. That would have been smart thinking, but unfortunately the heat has made me dumb. So that's just not going to happen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that water would have boiled in your room anyway.
It's true. It's true. It would have boiled. It would have boiled. Yeah. Okay, so 3-year anniversary. Episode 156. I believe, if I remember correctly, because I should have looked this up right before, but I didn't. Our first episode was supposed to air on July the 2nd of 2012. I am speaking slowly so that I can stall while I Google it. And so our first episode came out, I was... Load. July 3rd, 2012. So that's when it was supposed to come out. It didn't come out then because EFN screwed up. Yay. But that was originally when our first podcast was supposed to air. And
we had a double header, the first one.
Yeah, so. We did, because the week that it was supposed to come out, it didn't. So then we just made another episode and we aired them back to back. But yeah, July 3rd was like our anniversary day. So that was cool. We managed to go 3 years now, episode 156. It goes to show you that we basically didn't miss a week. I think we've missed 1 week or so.
Yes.
Or something like that.
1 week exactly. And I think it was after a con because we were all dead or something.
Yeah. I don't really know how we've managed to miss like a couple of weeks and still ended up about at the 3rd year thing, but hey, I'm not going to question it. I guess because the year isn't exactly 52 weeks or something like that. I don't know time. I don't know dates. I don't know calendars. I know art.
Speaking of art, not yet speaking of art.
That's true. We're not in the art section yet.
Yeah, we got a very, very nice note sent in to us by none other than Storm Shield, who's constantly in the chat, and we've met at Everfree Northwest in the past.
Did I meet him?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
He was there the first year.
I would need a picture.
Yeah. I'm not going to look up a picture right now. And he says, Dear Cutie Art Crusaders, what can I say other than thank you for doing this podcast? It has allowed me to meet amazing people and to witness the brilliant minds of others through their works. What you four are doing is nothing short of being inspirational to not only myself, but to others who come to see the pieces each of you picked, along with hearing amazing and funny stories from each of your lives. Though I have no piece to present to the CAC for your anniversary episode, I wanted to provide this note to all of you, saying how much I appreciate the podcast, and I hope to see more from all of you down the road, and better still, another anniversary. We'll see. Much as I want to go to BronyCon and watch your panel, I sadly cannot make it, but I look forward to the episode after. Thank you all for being maintastic, and enjoy BronyCon and take pictures.
Cool.
Yeah. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much for sending that in. It was a very nice gesture for you to do that. And we talked about art, but we do appreciate anything to do with the anniversary stuff. It's not something that happens very often. So for you to go out of your way and write something like this, whether or not it be art or a letter, it was really nice of you to do that. So thank you. I'm sorry I don't quite remember you from Everfree Northwest. I'm really bad with names and I'm much better with faces, so I'm sure I would recognize you if I saw your face, your lovely, beautiful face. But yes, thank you. Regardless, thank you for sending in that note.
It's always really nice to hear people take the time to do that and to tell us that we've actually inspired them, because we don't really know outside of being in the chat and stuff like that. And so it's nice to hear that what we're doing kind of does influence other people.
Well, I mean, when you think about it, right? When you think about let's say you're listeners, like you're sitting at home and you're listening to this podcast and you have your own feelings about this podcast, like we just have no idea about any of that, right? Like we make a podcast and we put it out on the internet and we hear feedback occasionally, which is what, has us continue doing this. Plus the fact that we, obviously enjoy doing it. But, it's very difficult to kind of like quantify not only how much it impacts someone, but also like how many people it impacts as well. I think a big thing that kind of happens is that we put it out and then it's kind of like, I don't really know if people will like this or not. And, much like the way that I consume my media, which is I watch it and then I just kind of like go away, like I don't go and tell the creators that it's amazing work or that I laughed out loud at it or something like that. And I think that's natural. But it really does kind of, it is difficult to see how much impact you have until you hear stuff like this. So it is really appreciated.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess we shall get right into the fan art.
Yeah, we're not going to do any questions this week, so we can just kind of get through the fan art. Yeah. How many do we have? Do we have 10?
3, 4, 5, 6, 10, yes.
Cool. So we can spend about 5 minutes on each.
Okay. So this first piece was sent in by Citizen Smiley, and he called it CSC 3 Years Sketch. And unfortunately, it's not up on DeviantArt, but it is of us 4 as Equestria girls, and it is amazing.
And Equestria boys with a Z.
Yeah. in the hood.
Bernd looks so creepy in this picture. Is it just me?
It's the mustache. Like, it's gotta be.
He's just got this weird mustache thing going on. He's like a strange vampire. It's like the combination of like his mustache and his big floppy hair that just makes me like, ooh. It's depicted very well. So thank you very much for sending this in. I think it's done very well. It's just, well, I think just in general, Bernd's a creepy guy. So you nailed it.
I mean, like if you took him out of the picture, like the rest of us are all adorbs, including Atmospark.
Yeah, it's true.
But I don't know, something about him.
Well, I think it's hilarious that they got Bernd's vest.
Mm-hmm.
Like Bernd wears this like vest to cons because it makes him like look more like professional and stuff.
Yeah.
And we roll our eyes at him, but whatever he wants to do, it's his life.
Well, Citizen Smiley met Bernd at Everfree.
Yeah, and I'm sure Bernd was wearing that vest.
Yes. Also, Citizen Smiley, not a bot for any of you in the chat.
Yeah.
He likes to say hi to everyone, and he's amazing at that. So yeah.
But yeah, no, we all look great. I'm really not a huge fan of the Equestria Girls like style, like the humanized style, but I think that this looks really cute, and it's definitely like, I don't know, it's not quite the Equestria Girls style, you know what I mean? Like it's got its own kind of flair to it, and I think it looks really good.
Did you see our earrings?
I did, yeah.
They're our cutie marks.
That was really cool. We've all got our cutie marks somewhere. Atmospark has got his on his shirt, Bernd's got his on his pants, and we've got ours on different clothing, but we've also got those earrings, and that's really cute.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
well, thank you so much
adorable.
for sending that in.
Yeah. All right, so the next piece is called On a Piece of Art by Otaku AP. And this is an MC Escher-esque drawing of us.
It's a very interesting kind of non-Euclidean geometry space. I'm just going to keep saying buzzwords.
Synergy.
Yeah.
Something like that.
There was a piece that Otaku did about half a year ago. He was testing out like different perspectives and interesting designs, and he made this cube, and it was this cube, and he was like, I guess I'll put the Cutie Art Crusaders on it because it's like they reminded me to do interesting things like this and to try new stuff.
Yeah.
And I imagine that it's probably a similar case here. He wanted to try something new, and he was like, okay, well, they inspired me to try something new, so let's put them in it. And it's a really cool piece. It's definitely, he was experimenting with the previous one before with interesting perspective and geometry, and this one's like taken to the next level.
Yeah. I like the way that the path kind of curves around, like the stone path curves around that one block that I'm sitting on.
Mm-hmm.
And it warps in space. It looks really cool.
I think it's incredibly impressive, for someone like me who's not an artist, to be able to look at something and be like, oh, it's very difficult to have one camera angle and to try to get everything perfect in that. But then to have like multiple different angles, like there's 5 or 6 different gravitational like angles to this where everybody's supposed to be aligned on a certain axis, and to get that right in one is difficult enough, but to get it right in like 4 or 5, that's really cool.
I just realized that I really want to see an MLP episode where gravity gets like shifted around or something weird with gravity. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I don't know what but yeah.
Yeah. This is just such a cool thing, and Otaku over the years, he started out by just doing some simple stuff and sending us in little simple pieces of fan art, but I think recently in the last year or so, he's been really trying to experiment with new things and broaden his horizons, and so it's really cool to see him branch out and do cool stuff like this.
Mm-hmm. You know what is in this piece as well?
What?
The moth.
Oh, is it?
Uh-huh.
Oh, is it hiding behind Joel?
Right above Bernd.
Oh, that's Joel's tail. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it that like shadow or like?
Yeah, it's the shadow of the moth, like he's like beyond the clouds or something.
Oh, okay. That's very subtle. I wouldn't have noticed that.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I love the way that Otaku kind of has the moth as a thing that he puts in every piece, because if it's hidden, like you can try and search for it and find it. It's like an I Spy kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. I just find it so impressive how he can like not only have, it's one thing to have separate kind of parts of the piece that are all in their own different perspective, but then to connect them all with these bridges is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
To have them kind of intersect with each other, it's definitely like it messes with your mind, and it's supposed to, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really cool, and it looks good, like even though it messes with your mind, like it only really messes with your mind because it kind of makes sense in a way, like if
Yeah.
gravity worked like that, then yeah, those bridges would kind of look like that, and it's kind of like just on the edge of reality, you know what I mean?
Well, it's interesting because you kind of localize your focal points around each of the ponies, and within their own little like ecosphere, everything makes sense. But the bridges between them kind of are warped, and like in the grand scheme of things, all of these little parts don't really fit together naturally. But
I also like the little like crescent moon island that Bernd is standing on at the bottom.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting floating island concept.
Yeah.
Almost like a little planet that has a chunk missing out of it.
Yeah.
It's cool. Thank you so much, Otaku. Obviously Otaku's our number one fan. He makes us ridiculous amounts of fan art, and I've recently had the pleasure of being able to talk to him more personally, and he's a great guy. So it's really awesome to see him kind of continue making fan art after 3 years, and to see the difference between his art in just approximately 2.5 years is pretty incredible.
Mm-hmm. He's one of the artists that we've actually watched kind of growing up or improving over time as we've done the show, because he started kind of around the same time that we did. And it's just interesting watching him progress from like his very beginnings of, well, actually doing fan art of us to, this kind of piece or other pieces that he's been doing recently. And it's absolutely fantastic to watch him and others progress.
Yeah, there's been some stuff recently I found that has been like really like taking things to the next level. And so it's been cool to see that, and we've always kind of seen his progress going along.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you so much for sending this in.
Mm-hmm. All right, speaking of mind warpy things, our next piece is called CACing Around by a Brony artist, and it's us on a Mobius strip.
Cacking around.
Yay! So for those who don't know, a Mobius strip is a theoretical shape with one side that you can actually make in 3-dimensional space by taking a strip of paper, spinning it 180 degrees on one end, and then taping that to the other end. So yeah, that's what he drew us on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's I like little shout outs to kind of our personalities and stuff. I think that's something that's really cool when we get fan art. When we get fan art and it's just kind of our ponies, that's really awesome. But when we get fan art like this that kind of exemplifies our personalities, or at least the parts of our personalities that we put forward on the show, or little like in jokes and stuff like that, it kind of reminds us that people really are listening and like absorbing what we say. When I talk, when I talk on the podcast and when I listen back to it, it's just like blah 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 blah. Like it's really not something that absorbs a lot because I'm saying it, and listening back to it, it's just like, oh yeah, it's me talking, whatever. But to hear people like you never really know if like it's just going over people's heads or whether or not they're actually absorbing what you're saying, and it's cool to see references to things like I'm being organized in marketing where the years are apparently, and yeah. There's an in joke with you're looking at the sun and
and it's hurting my eyes.
Yeah. Bernd is looking at himself in a mirror and saying so majestic, which
That's
is
great.
Hilarious to everybody but Bernd.
I think he finds it funny too on the inside.
And there's Joel being upside down saying, no, you're upside down. Obviously a shout out to him being from Australia, the southern hemisphere. Yeah. It's so cool to see stuff kind of stick, It really it's another one of those things that kind of drills home that people are actually enjoying and like paying attention to the podcast.
It's always interesting to see kind of what the fans will kind of grab on to, like what will become a meme.
Yeah, like what people really enjoy and what people don't, and it kind of comes out in the fan art and when we're talking to people, and we, as much as we would probably like to control it, like
we can't.
It's just kind of like whatever people like, and we usually like to go off of that. So if people like it, then we totally want to continue that because it's a nice interaction between us and the fans.
Well, like the sunlight hurts my eyes comment that I made was just completely offhand, like well, it happens, and then like someone grabbed it, and next thing I know, like Mummified is making a YouTube video of me singing that, and yeah, it's kind of crazy how things kind of get out of control a little bit, but it's awesome.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sending this in. It's really awesome. I like your personal touches.
Something that I like about this is how Joel's everything is like kind of pointed downwards, so like his hair is like falling down, and his wing even is like tipped upwards, like the wings kind of like being messed with by gravity. Kind of cool.
And I mean, it's because he's actually upside down.
Yeah,
so.
It is true. Yeah. See, he could have been here to like defend himself, but he's not. So. And
he also posted something in the description. I'm just going to read it really quick before we move on to the next piece. It says, here's something I made for the Cutie Art Crusaders in the upcoming 3-year anniversary of that awesome podcast. It's basically a token of appreciation because not only have I learned a lot from this podcast, it's probably not evident in this piece, but I like to think that I'm slowly getting somewhere. But it's also what kept me in touch with the fandom during that horrible hiatus and helped me motivate me to keep drawing and slowly fill up my sketchbook. So thanks for that. I also learned some things which I assume are quite essential using Psi efficiently when making this piece. So yeah, it's really cool that we can kind of help you through that. That last hiatus that we went through was really killer. So it's nice to see that people kind of used our podcast to keep going through it, because I think in a way we use the podcast as that as well.
Yeah. Another thing that he notes in here is that none of us are upside down because it is a Mobius strip, so we're all on the same side.
It's true.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to move on to the next piece, which is called Continuous Art Cycle by Detomne. Detomne, another artist who has done a lot of fan art for us. Thank you so much. This is us in a circle holding some artistic things. Bernd's got a palette of colors. You have a paintbrush with purple on it. I'm holding a canvas with a green and blue splotch, and Joel is holding a frame, and also has some paint that's on his coat.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming like either you put it there or like it got there accidentally.
Something like that. I don't know. Yeah, it's got a really interesting vibe to this piece with the circular outline and us kind of going in a circle. It kind of leads your eye, in a spiraling motion in a way. It's funnily enough. So Datamne is someone who has been around for a long time, like years now, and it's been cool to see people sticking around with the podcast because like sticking around with anything for like 3 years is kind of crazy. I can't believe we're still doing it, honestly. Because people change so much, and like especially like the last 3 years of my life have been like the biggest change in my life like ever is over 3 years. So to like understand that and to be able to see that people will stick with something and keep something consistent is kind of impressive, honestly.
Yeah.
And so it's really cool to see that. But we've obviously seen a lot of Datamne's art after he made our first piece of fan art, and now that we're looking at it, it's like this is the most normal looking piece that Datamne has ever made. I think Datamne can really make some interesting abstract and surrealist pieces.
Yeah.
And this is just kind of like nice little ponies in a circle.
Yeah.
It's got great composition, don't get me wrong, but the ponies themselves are it's almost weird seeing them not be weird.
Yeah, and I think his style of pony anatomy kind of lends itself to, more on the weird side of things, but I think he did a fantastic job of kind of normalizing us in this. And I wanted to comment on the colors in this because they're absolutely fantastic. I really like how he took the concept of using warm colors for highlights and cool colors for shadows, or vice versa, on each of the ponies. Like you have like this orange, like dark orange highlight kind of thing, and then purple shadows, and same with me. And it's it really stands out. It's really nice.
Yeah, it's a really cool. I think what you were saying before about the purple splotch on him, that might just be like interesting shading too. Like I'm not even sure if that's paint, because we've all got kind of like our the shadows that we have that are cast on us are all kind of like different colored and different and kind of splotchy in a way.
Yeah, I like the brush that he used. It kind of is very dithered, like splotchy, almost like a sponge brush kind of.
Right.
It's interesting.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Datamne, you probably expected some sort of crazy in-depth stuff, but there's only 2 of us, and we've got a number to get through. But we do, very much appreciate your continued support. Datamne is some. It's kind of like there's names that stand out within the people who watch our show, who we always appreciate hearing from and seeing in the chat and getting art from. And Datamne is definitely up there. It's very wonderful to get art from him. So thank you so much.
Wait! I think I can become like existential with this.
Oh boy!
It I mean, obviously, it symbolizes the continuous cycle of art, but it's kind of like the always refining your style and strategy and stuff like that. And it's not just with art; it's like with anything in life. You're kind of like you start with an idea, then you move to like the execution, and you come up with this like this nice designed piece of art, and then you take a look at it and you say, oh wow, that's terrible, and then you start all over again.
Cycle of any art piece.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of cycles, the next piece that we have is called Drawn Together by Awesome Penil. Penil? I don't know. Awesome
Pen 2? Is it I too? Yes, it is. Awesome Pen 2.
Well, okay. That's just a weird name then.
I think it's awesome.
And Awesome Pen 2, yeah. So this piece is kind of similar in a way that it's got that kind of cycle going. It's opposite now. It's clockwise as opposed to counterclockwise, but we're drawing each other and filling each other in. So it's kind of playing with the fourth wall there of these being drawings, and so we're all kind of doing that for each other and helping each other out. I guess, is Bernd erasing?
No, I think he's drawing.
Or
we're all drawing each other. You're drawing with your magic.
Well, I know, but I'm holding a pencil. We're all holding pencils. What does Bernd got?
Bernd's holding a pencil. It's just attached to his hoof. Yeah.
Oh,
it's above his hoof.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah, he's filling in Joel's mane.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I like this kind of concept where it's kind of like, well, obviously it's surreal, but it's kind of like things drawing other things in a circular pattern and whatnot.
Yeah, and I also really enjoy seeing people use traditional art for these kind of things.
Yeah.
Because we obviously don't get to see that very often. we're a mainly digital art show when it comes to what we feature. And so, that lends itself to getting a lot of digital fan art and encouraging people to create a lot of digital art. But it's also cool to see people kind of take that outside of that and create more traditional work like this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool. Something that I really like about this piece actually is kind of how we all have our own distinct shading in the background. Like Bernd has this kind of yellow-orange shading. Joel has this kind of blue-greenish. You have sort of a bluish, and I have sort of a red. And it's like done in a circular framing style pattern.
Right, you're talking about like the corners.
Yeah, which is kind of neat.
It's interesting. I wonder if it's based off of, like our eye colors or anything like that. Because it seems like Bernd and mine might be off the eye colors, but then you and Joel, it might be based off of the hair colors.
Yeah.
Interesting choices there.
Also, I love the fact that I'm like painting you in with a stick.
Yeah, it's like yours is tied to a stick for some reason.
Yeah. And
that's all about.
I have this like really, really big grin.
Yeah. It's cool. Well, thank you so much for drawing that. It's really
cool
awesome
concept.
To see people again with the traditional art. That's something we don't get off very often. That's really cool.
Yeah. All right, so our next piece is called CAC 3 Years by late customer Dave. And it's fantastic. It's us eating cake.
Yeah. This is apparently, according to Dave, he was like, yeah, I didn't have a lot of time, so I did this for you, which is hilarious to me that he was like, I don't really have a lot of time, so I did this. Right. It's a really awesome. It's a really awesome piece for him to do. He's been branching out in his style lately, and so you can see kind of like newer style influences on him here. But this is a really nice thing for him to do. We're all around a table, like eating our 3-year anniversary cake, which is really cool. And it's an interesting perspective, and I like it.
I knew there was something I was forgetting to get.
Cake.
Yeah. We'll have to have some at BronyCon.
One of the cool things that the show has done, not only for us, but for our fans as well, has been the kind of friendships that it has personified and kind of created. So like something that the show itself, like My Little Pony, has done is it's created a lot of groups of friends that, wouldn't have talked to each other before. And, I owe a lot of my best friends right now to the show to be able to do that. But I think one of the cool side effects of our show in particular is, and something we never expected, was that it would have a similar effect on other people. So there's lots of other people who met because they all watch our show, became friends because they watched our show and stuff like that. And that's really cool. I never expected something like that to happen.
Yeah, it's really neat. And like we'll go to conventions and stuff, and these people who kind of met through our show are hanging out at the cons, and like and then we get to hang out with them too, and it's really cool. It's not just other people and fans of the show too, but like I've met a lot of cool people because I've done the show. There's lots of cool friends like Dave. Dave's a really close friend of mine now, and there's other people like Agamnensar and his streaming crew and Otaku that I've been talking to lately, and there's just there's tons of people who I've met and had the opportunity to meet because of this show that is just something that I never thought would happen with the show. Yeah. Kind of back to the art, I really love how adorable all of our expressions are.
Yeah, we're all very, very happy in this piece, which is super cool.
Yeah, and Joel's got his face stuffed with cake.
Straight for the cake.
Yep.
That's Joel.
Yeah. I do love like the kind of the creative process that Dave's taken in this piece and in more recent pieces, like to kind of change up his style a little bit and throw in some kind of different things here and there. Like I think in this piece his eyes are a little bit different than like in previous pieces. I don't know, just something about them is.
There's lots of experimentation here too. I think Dave is one of those guys similar to Otaku who's been experimenting a lot in the last year or so.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell in this piece, and this is no offense meant to Dave or anything like that, you can tell that he was kind of rushing in this piece. You know, when you compare it to some of his other stuff that he spends so much time on, like some of his other pieces are just like, you know, so crazy different, and he's really like pushing the boundaries. And I think this was just kind of like a nice little quick thing, which is honestly like I prefer, because I don't think that people should be spending like ridiculous amounts of times on these pieces. Yeah. I'm really glad if someone can just send in a quick little thing.
Then again, like if people use this kind of opportunity to, you know, further their self in art, like by all means, you know, push yourself.
It's a good point.
Yeah,
it's a good point. But yeah, I really enjoy this piece, and thanks so much, Dave, for sending it in. You know, Dave knows that he's a friend of ours. Like, he doesn't have to send this stuff in to us for the show, but he does anyways because he knows that we like it. So that's really cool of him to do.
And he knows that we'll gush about it. So, yeah, and we actually get to meet him.
I'll poke him in his belly.
Yeah,
in about a month.
Yeah,
I guess it'll be. This is airing on the 6th, right, or the 7th?
Yes, this is going to air on the 7th.
Why did I say 6th?
I don't know.
I don't know why I said 6th. It's 7th.
Yeah.
Well, there's a blooper. But yeah, like literally a month from when this airs, we will be in. It'll be the first day of BronyCon, so that's cool. So we'll be meeting him there and hanging out there.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep. All right, so the next piece is Welcome to Our 3rd Year Anniversary Tour by Tom Fraggle, who's actually a new name to the podcast. I haven't heard of him before, which is awesome. And he did this vector of us. I think it's a vector. I hope it's a vector.
Yes, it is. Or, I don't know. Something like that. Woo!
Yay! The first thing that I noticed is how Bernd has that I didn't learn anything.
Yeah.
The season 5 opener guy meme face.
Yeah, this is I get a very distinct like season 5 opener vibe from this, where we're the crazy people that are like secretly insane, and our smiles are just a little bit too big and weird, and Bernd is like supposed to be the like sane one that's been locked up because he's too sane and doesn't go along with our schemes or something like that.
Isn't that the truth though? Like,
no, it's actually the opposite of the truth.
Yeah. Well,
Remember, maybe the insane one.
Maybe he's the more insane one, but I think we're also kind of, you know, a little crazy.
Well, yeah. Yeah, he's gone crazy in this piece, that's for sure. And I love the expressions, and they're also, I don't know, like I'm not sure if this is intentional, and if it wasn't, then I'm sure people get annoyed that I said this, but it looks so weird, you know? Like each of the expressions is so like strange, and in a similar way, like when I was watching the season opener of My Little Pony season 5.
Yeah.
It was like when they smiled, it was just like, whoa, this is creepy. There's just something too big about those smiles. It's too wide. The eyes are too big. The smiles are too big. And I feel like all of our faces at the front there, all 3 of them, are kind of like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it's like Pinkie Pie was saying, you know, those smiles are not genuine smiles.
Yeah, they're creepy. They're creepy smiles.
So he has a little dialogue of us down in the description. And it's
and that proves that Bernd has gone absolutely crazy.
Yes.
Because he says, but I didn't listen. They kept telling me I talked too much. I'll end up in the cage, and I didn't listen. Go inside, take a tour, lots of artwork. We'll tell you about each one. We have a special Bernd pizza just for you. You'll find lots of value during this tour. Butts to the butts, God. Atmospark got licked by a car. Man shower may show up. Dusk shine transition. I got a key to this cage, but don't tell RainbowPlasma. I'm horse famous. I've got 4 kids in Alaska. Let's talk about perception. I think he meant perspective there, but that's fine. Yeah. So Bernd's gone crazy, amazing. Which I'm glad that art imitates life, you know.
Mm-hmm. Because
so all it needs now is for him to just go missing for 2 weeks.
Yeah. Maybe I'll edit him out of this.
Just edit him out of this piece. That's funny.
Yeah, I don't really know where he is now. He just completely fell off the face of the earth in his insanity, apparently.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. He went too insane. You had to lock him up.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sending this art piece in. It's really awesome.
I do love how he brought up like so many things from our show in that Bernd rant. Except I do have one critique, is that Bernd doesn't like the dust shine transition. So
Bernd doesn't like half of our memes.
That's true. Yeah. I really like it. It's cool.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much.
Yeah. All right. So the next piece is called Untitled by Quantum Pinky, and it is us with super huge ears. And,
it's so wacky and goofy.
Yeah. And it's us critiquing this piece of art.
Yeah. I don't know why, but Atmospark has some sort of strange accent where, or like that, is that a T or an R? It looks like it says it's rareable.
Yeah. I think that's after he started talking in an accident. God.
Well, he had an accident in his brain.
Yeah. So did we, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he started talking in an accent a few episodes ago.
Weird.
Towards the end.
Weird. Yeah, it's funny, they mentioned that, this is totally anniversary related, and it didn't have to be like a birthday cake or anything like that. Like, it was just awesome that she managed to send something in, and I love this style, this crazy wacky ear style that's going on here. Everything is so wavy, and like we've got no arms, and we're just these goofy little like bananas that are popping up with heads,
Yeah.
It's great. I think one of the cool things about getting fan art in, especially for something like this, is to see the variety of styles that everybody has, and this one is just so goofy and wacky that I love it.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you look through the rest of her gallery, like everyone has huge ears, so it's kind of like her thing, and it's like we've seen who is it, Lox T.O. does big fluffy ears, but these are like big poofy ears, like
floppy, and like it's almost like there's two ponies attached to the ear, like,
yeah.
it's crazy.
They're like bunny ears basically.
Mm-hmm.
So she actually sent in an email, and she asked if we could critique this art piece normally rather than feeling the need to give it blind praise.
Too late.
So
sucker.
Yeah. I'm going to critique your request and say that your art is amazing. No, I like the style. I really do. And I think that it's really interesting. The outline with the variation is kind of cool and stuff. And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, for me personally, I think it's just more like fleshing it out more and creating more complete pieces. Yeah. I think a lot of people can get stuck making sketches, and that's cool, and that'll help you out in the beginning. But if you really want to take your art to the next level, then going into more complex shading and lighting situations and perspective and all that kind of stuff, and experimenting will help you kind of push the boundaries of an art piece. And the other thing is too, right, like in the description, she mentioned like, this is going to be better, but I'm not proud of it, so I gave up halfway. And I think the important thing is to kind of push through those barriers and learn ways to kind of push through artistic barriers to be able to finish pieces. But I still like it really isn't blind praise. I do think that it's a very cute art style, and I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with a simpler piece like this where it's not crazy heavily shaded. It's just goofy cartoon caricatures, and that's kind of what it is here. If I have one critique, it's that your lowercase t's are awful. They look like ours. So fix that up. But other than that, I have no qualms with these kind of things, and I like them. I think, if we didn't have simpler, goofier styles, then, there wouldn't be the variety there, and it wouldn't help us appreciate all kinds of art.
Yeah. I mean, we kind of like some of the more goofier pieces just because we're not expecting it, and it's like, this is something completely different. It's interesting, and we'll feature it. Mm-hmm. And I agree. Like I think you have a very cool style, and you have things that kind of differentiate your art from the crowd. And I think if you just kind of keep going with that and kind of push yourself through to make more complete pieces, or even just like these kind of simple pieces, but kind of like clean it up or give it some framing or something like that, then you'll be on your way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I do have to say that in the description she mentions, I'm just a casual viewer, but each of the characters is well designed, so I thought I'd give drawing them a shot. Well, thank you very much. I I appreciate your compliments for our OCs. I think all of our OCs are quite well designed and pleasant to look at. So it's very nice to hear you say that.
Also, I don't know if this is intentional or not, but your horn is fairly long in this piece. So
it looks normal to me. I see no issues. Speaking of horns, our next art piece is missing one. And if you hadn't have mentioned my horn in the last piece, I wouldn't have gone to the next piece because we were about to transition. So I was like, I wonder what my horn looks like in the next piece. Oh, it doesn't exist.
Yeah. It's hidden behind your massive hair.
It is. So this one is called Cutie Art Crusaders Art Block Days by Dan Shaw Graphics, another person who I don't remember having sent in fan art before. So that's always cool to see new fans and new interesting people who will watch our show. And yeah, it's a very awesome fan made cover, like in the band Gorillaz style. They've got their famous cover for that. So I think we've gotten another interpretation of that cover before, if I remember correctly.
Possibly. I know the first time I saw this piece was actually on Reddit on r/MLP Drawing School.
Oh, really?
And, yeah. Because he posted it up there like maybe a week or so ago. And like asking for critiques. And so I like upvoted it like crazy, but I didn't I didn't manage to get a critique in there, mostly because I'm biased about it. But yeah, it's a fantastic interpretation of that.
Yeah, it's really cool. I like the interpretation, and I think one of my favorite thing about this piece is the colors in it, like the interesting take on our own color scheme. I think when it's obviously shifted, it's kind of like a rustier color like a rustier version of all of our colors.
Yeah.
It's obviously got some sort of not when I say filter, that makes it sound so basic, like someone just slapped on a filter, and that's not it at all. But it's almost as if there was like a certain filter over each one of ours that's the similar kind of hue shift. And I think the cool thing about that is that I can still tell that the characters are their own proper colors, but shifted. Whereas sometimes you'll see people try to shift colors and it just doesn't work because it's got they just do it incorrectly or they don't do it evenly.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because in the original Gorillaz album, each person had their own color or hue. So it's kind of still sticking in that style. And we're all a little bit more desaturated than our normal colors and stuff. But you can definitely still tell that we're each kind of our individual colors that we normally are. Also, our expressions are very solemn, which is cool.
Well, I like the way that our characters all have different faces in a way. We've got the same facial expressions, but there's little our mare faces are shorter and different than their stallion faces, and Burns is a bit his snout sticks out a bit more, and the hair is layered in a really interesting way, especially on Bernd.
Yeah, I really like the stranding in his hair. And in Joel's as well. Yeah,
and it manages to make it look very 3D very easily, which is awesome. So again, thank you so much for sending this in. This is really cool stuff, and it's an honor to be depicted on the as there's a depiction of us with this cover, which is obviously quite famous.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
Vern still looks so snooty.
It's funny because we've all got the same expression, but he still manages to give off this. I think it's his hair.
Yeah, it's gotta be.
It's kind of I don't know what it is, but there's that extra about him.
Yeah,
in this piece.
I mean, I'm here, but I'm.
I'm here, but I'm not happy about it. Yeah, it's almost like there's almost a projection of our personalities that I interpret from each one of these as well. Even though Bernd and Joel have the exact same face, right? Joel is more I'm bored, whereas Bernd is kind of I just don't really want to. Yeah, there's a difference there. I'm not really sure I should be here or something.
Yeah,
it's funny how different characters can invoke different emotions despite having the same facial expressions.
Yeah. Huh.
Let's move on to the next one, because I'm dying of being too hot in my room.
I'm so sorry. All right, so our last piece for today is called Crusading by Raingear, who has been sending fan art into us for a very long time, and it's always amazing, and it's just been getting better and better as he's been getting better and better as an artist.
He was recently on a break for unknown reasons. He didn't really want to state why, but he recently came back after like 6 months to post this picture, which I have to say, you know, considering how good of an artist he is, it's absolutely an honor to have someone, you know, come back from a hiatus to do something like this. It really means a lot to me that you would do that, because you know, obviously that for whatever reason you were off on hiatus, and to find the motivation still to come back and do that is and to take the time out to do it is really awesome.
Yeah, definitely. And please, like, you know, if if you're done with your hiatus, we would love to see more art from you, because this piece right here is absolutely fantastic.
I love the interpretations of the characters. Like they're all shifted in a way, right? They're not all perfect depictions of our characters. They've all got their own unique kind of aspect to them, right? Like it's almost like he's taken the characters of our personalities and he's stretched them out to their extremes, you know, and given them their own unique, maybe less pony style to them. Bernd has got this like glowing-eyed, like smirk, but he almost looks kind of like devilish, like he's more of a bat pony. And Joel is crazy and wacky, and his hair is going insane. And yeah, it's not perfectly like accurate to his character, but like it kind of is accurate to his personality, right? So there's that, and the both of us have kind of got like more flowy hair that goes down, and our expressions are different. So it's really cool to see different people's interpretations of our characters, right? Because everybody has their own interpretation, everybody has their own style.
Yeah. I like the continuation of his kind of theme with us, where in his previous piece with us, we were in a hot air balloon, or you and I were in a hot air balloon, and Bernd and Joel were flying around. And in this one, we're kind of, it almost looks like we're walking on the clouds.
Yeah.
What was that? It was that water or something.
It was really cool to see a continuation of that piece, because I think it would be very easy to say that the piece that he did before was our consensus favorite piece that we've ever gotten, just because of how spectacular it was. And so I've obviously been looking forward to more from him because of how awesome he is at doing fan art for us. Like it's really like hard to describe how awesome that last piece was, and so to see a continuation of it is really cool. It's a very like personal touch.
Yeah, something that Rain Gear does really fantastically is using colors in dramatic ways. And I think in this piece it mostly stands out with your guys' eyes in the irises, just because they're so like vibrant and vivid colors. Like they match your characters obviously, but it's just something like where the rest of us, the characters, are kind of desaturated, lower value, like darker, but the eyes just really kind of shine through, really pop out from the piece.
Right. Yeah. There are definitely certain focal points in the piece that kind of pop out, and you're right, eyes is one of them. And I think on the left-hand side, the two ponies on the left, we're both, our hair is quite standout as well. And I think that plays again to what we were talking about earlier, which is like they're part of our characters. So Joel's hair is actually electrified, if you haven't noticed. It's got little like sparks going through it, and it's all puffy, like it's staticky, and it's glowing in a way, you know, like it's got that glow to it. And my hair is glowing as well, almost like kind of like a fire's glow. Which again is really awesome characterization of our characters, not only our personalities but our original character, like our OCs as well.
And I really like the kind of the whole scene of us kind of walking away from the balloon as it drifts up in the distance.
It's very epic.
Yeah, we have this kind of, there's like this forced, it's not really a forced perspective, but like I don't really know what you would call it. It's kind of a fisheye.
Yeah, I mean, we're so big that we almost kind of create a vanishing point with our bodies.
Yeah.
Which is something you don't often see with characters, because characters usually aren't big enough to kind of follow those rules of vanishing points. or they're so small that it's noticeable. But in this one, it's really cool because there is kind of that vanishing point in the very, very center of the piece that it's a very loose one. It's definitely, there aren't a lot of lines that follow it, but our bodies seem to line up with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It is kind of a fisheye effect almost.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, it's got a curve to it of some sort.
Yeah, with Joel and Bernd being like massive in the center, and then us kind of off to the side, projected back. Yeah, very cool.
Well, thank you so much, Rain Gear, for sending it in again. It means a lot that you come out of your hiatus to make something like this for us, and I know. You know, I speak on behalf of the other two guys who aren't here right now, that everyone who has sent in fan art for us, you know, whether or not it be fan art for this episode or any time before, you know, we really do appreciate it, and we think the world of all that kind of stuff. So thank you so much for doing that.
Hey guys, just wanted to edit this in. We also received a fan art from Flutterlove. Unfortunately, it kind of got lost in our email, so we weren't able to take a look at it and discuss it and gush about it during the episode. But it's pretty amazing. It's depicting us discussing the past 3 years of our podcast. So it's really cool. And thank you to Flutterlove, and thank you again to anyone who sent in anything to us, whether it's for this episode or for any episodes in the past. And we wouldn't, you know, be doing this show if we didn't really enjoy it, and if it didn't mean a lot to, you know, us and to you guys. And I think like knowing that you guys really enjoy it and that it kind of inspires you is kind of motivation for us. And it's always really neat to hear stories about like how people got into art or improved their art because of the podcast. And it's also really neat to see kind of the effect through this art and through other art that, you know, people have done that we've followed throughout the 3 years that we've been going. So.
Yeah, it's been, you know, we've talked about it before, and I think the 3rd year anniversary is a little bit less dramatic than the first or the second. You know, the first being obviously the first anniversary is a big deal, and the second one being episode 100. And I've always thought that the third one isn't really that big of a deal, comparatively. But it's a good time to kind of reflect back and just, you know, say that how much we appreciate you guys for listening. And, you know, we wouldn't have made it to episode 156 if it wasn't for people continuing to send us in awesome art and continue to listen to our podcast and give us feedback and things like that. It wouldn't be possible without you guys, and you know, we're so glad that you stuck around with us for this long. You know, we don't know when the journey will end. It will end eventually, I'm sure. But you know, I'd like to take this opportunity to just say like thank you to everyone for your support throughout the entire series that we've been doing this, because it's been just you know, kind of completely unexpected and has kind of blown me away, the kind of support that we've gotten. So yeah, that's really awesome.
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy that, you know, this year we have 3 of us going again to BronyCon, and we have our own panel there this year, and hopefully, you know, people will show up to it. I'm expecting us to go in, and there's going to be like one person there. It's going to be Dave.
It's going to be Dave, yeah.
No, but yeah, it's always neat to like meet these artists and the people who watch our show in person at these conventions, and so it'll be neat to do that again this year, and hopefully we'll have some fun at our panel, which I keep, you know, shoehorning in there. So
yeah. Well, yeah, that's basically it for our anniversary episode. So yeah, thank you again to anybody who sent in a note or art. And honestly, if you're sitting there and you didn't send in art and you didn't send a note, then you know that's all right. Like we really do appreciate everybody. Like even if we never hear from you, for you to take your time out of your day and listen to us is really special to us, to be able to do that and to be able to kind of entertain people and educate people. That's a really cool thing. So thank you so much for your support and your continued kind of encouragement and things like that. It's been an awesome 3 years. So thank you.
As far as a spoiler cast goes, we have kind of fallen out of the loop.
Well, the reason why we've fallen out of the loop is because everybody's like gone. Like everybody's got weird random summer plans.
Yeah. So I think what we're going to end up doing is next week we're probably going to do like a 3-in-1 or 4-in-1 or however many episodes in one. Yeah. Spoiler cast that's going to be kind of quick, go through each of the episodes quickly. So it's not going to be like extended at all, but it's probably going to be like 20 to 30 minutes of us just kind of reviewing the past 3 episodes.
Yeah. So look forward to that. We're sorry that we didn't catch up with the spoiler cast, but we just haven't found the time to be able to do it. We're all really, really busy right now, and a lot of us are away, so it can be very, very difficult to keep up with that kind of stuff.
Schedules are crazy during the summer. Hey guys, one more edit. Unfortunately, we will not be having an episode next week, most likely, just because of, once again, crazy summer schedules. Bernd is missing, and Joel's on vacation, and I am on vacation as well for next weekend. So, unfortunately, we will not be able to record, which means that our spoiler cast plans will be pushed back another week. But we will eventually get through all episodes of MLP spoiler casted for season 5. And sorry about the lack of an episode next week, but stick around for the week after that because we'll be back in full force, hopefully.
So yeah, thank you guys for watching.
Do you want to do plugs or?
Yeah, I'm gonna leave it.
Okay.
Like I think we can kind of just leave this episode. This is a bit of a weird episode. I honestly still don't know to this day whether or not people enjoy these episodes where we basically just spend an hour talking about ourselves or not. I don't know. I guess we get one of these like a year or something like that.
But
right?
We talked about the artists that made the art.
It's true.
It's not really just about us.
It's true.
Although we do talk about us quite a bit.
So I think this is kind of like a casual podcast, which is perfect because it's just the two of us and it's really hot. So, we're feeling kind of casual and loosey goosey here. So just wanted to take the opportunity to say thank you guys again for all your support over the last 3 years. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Hope you guys enjoyed our previous episodes, and I hope you guys enjoy our future episodes, however many that may be.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, that's everything for this week. So make sure to tune in next week when who knows who we'll have. It might be me, it might be Ted, it might be more than one person, hopefully.
Hopefully. Maybe
Joel won't be here because he'll be in Bali.
Yeah.
Or apparently, according to Joel, it's not Bali, it's Bali.
Something like that, yeah.
And maybe Bernd will be here. I don't know. Who knows? I don't know.
Bernd's gonna come riding in on a polar bear.
Yeah,
he
something like that.
Leashed and yeah. We'll be starting to record next week, and we'll just hear crashing in the background, and he'll be like, "I'm here, guys.
I'm here. I made it all the way back."
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys for watching this week. Whether or not you're on Picarto or on YouTube, we love you all the same. My name is RainbowPlasma.
I'm Flutterguy317.
And on behalf of Bernd and Atmospark, we thank you guys again for your 3 years of support, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.